uploaded for over 3 months. Well, the truth is really quite obvious. The North Korean government months, the world has been consumed with one burning question. Why is the Vex uploaded for over 3 months? Well, the truth is really quite obvious. The North Korean government is trying to kill me. Ever since traveling to North Korea, it's been obvious I've been under watch. For the past few months, I've been hiding in the one place the North Korean spies won't be able to find me, the Icelandic wilderness. You see, the Icelandic tundra is the perfect location to hide. Iceland is located in the corner of the world, just a few miles south of the Arctic Circle.
What do you want, Whistle? Seriously, what do you want? Stop screaming. You should have 2 hours. What do you want? You should have 3 hours. I'm gonna watch this, then I'm gonna stop watching this shit. Then, who knows? Some of the equipment in this some of the equipment in the room gets real hot, so that's why it's not on right now for.
Any further north, its solo human habitation would be dang near impossible. They can only get me a few months of the year, but the place isn't barricaded by snow. You might just think I'm a YouTuber gone insane and paranoid, but I'm not. After all, the North Korean government has shown they don't play by the rules. They will go to any length to eliminate anyone opposing their regime. Take, for instance, Kim Jong Nam, true heir to the Korean throne, assassinated in broad daylight in an international airport by North Korean spies. Bam, gone in 15 seconds. If I'm not safe in a secured place with hundreds of witnesses, then the obvious place to hide is the wilderness. I've thought of every detail, and this place is perfect. You see, the regime's assassination weapon of choice is the banned chemical known as VX nerve agent. One breath of that, and it's all over. The chemical weapon has one weakness, though, a melting point of 3.9 degrees Celsius. If it doesn't melt and turn into vapor, it's essentially rendered useless. Icelandic volcanic activity has resulted in overabundance of hot springs, my only refuge during the bitter cold, freezing winter months. Access to plethora of crystal clear, fast flowing water helps sustain my medically doomed life. Additionally, boiled volcanic water is able to kill off remaining bacteria and parasites. All this manages to keep me alive. The natural beauty of the heath keeps me calm and gives me sanity during my otherwise torturous and
If you're a U.S. citizen, when you go to the embassy in the America, when you go to the
memories of North Korea resurface, triggering my post-traumatic stress disorder, sending me into a violent, unstoppable rampage. But at least hundreds of miles from civilization, people are safe from me, and I'm only a danger to myself. Survival isn't easy. There's hardly any food out here, and no way to cook it.
well, technically, if you go to the embassy, you'd be safe, wouldn't you? Would you? Am I thinking? I'm thinking, seriously speaking, if you go to the embassy, he'd be safe. No one can go after him. I mean, I'd be safe. I'd be in an embassy. I'd be near an embassy. I'd go to the embassy, tell them what's happening, and they'll say, "Okay, I'll take you back home."
Some pretty stupid things in their lives, and I can say by far one of the most idiotic things I've ever done was illegally entering North Korea. I haven't talked about this before because it really doesn't feel real. When I say I went to North Korea, it just doesn't seem like it actually happened. And not only that, I was almost caught illegally entering North Korea and sent to a prison camp. And I suppose now I see two versions of myself. One version is standing safe and sound right here in front of the camera talking like almost nothing is wrong. And there's another version of me still in North Korea in a prison camp somewhere, probably doing a lifetime of hard labor. And it's just hard to see that my life could have split into these two paths. And I'm here right now, and the other path doesn't seem like it was ever a possibility, but it really was. You see, just a few months ago, I had this plan. This plan was to go to North Korea, take as much video and photos as I can, document it, and upload it for the world to see. However, I'm a YouTuber, and without approval from the North Korean government, what I would be doing would be illegal, because technically this would be considered journalism. And entering North Korea on a tourist visa to do journalism that's a really bad idea. So I was just a naive 20-year-old with a YouTube channel, and I still am. I lied about the fact I was a YouTuber and why I was really planning to go to North Korea. I wasn't really going to North Korea to see North Korea. I was doing it so I could produce some sort of video for you guys. You see, I was really almost caught while I was there. I aroused a lot of suspicion. I was warned multiple times. It was not a good situation that I was in. But in the process of doing so, I got some good video of North Korea, which is, I think, somewhat important. Maybe you've heard of Otto Warmbier. If you haven't, he was a 21-year-old university student from Ohio, and he went to North
heard
Korea
of him.
and with the intention to do something illegal, just like I was. And he stole a poster, and he was arrested at the airport, and shortly after that, he was killed by the regime. You see, me and Otto kind of have a similar story. We were both university students, both American. We were both traveling to North Korea for the exact same tour, the New Year's Eve tour. He was 21, I was 20. We both stayed in the Yangakdo Hotel, except we were exactly 1 year apart from each other. We both had the intention of doing something illegal when we came. In my case, it was to record unauthorized video. In his case, it was to steal a poster. He went during the 2015 tour. I went during the 2016/2017 tour. The one difference between us, though, is that he was caught for what he was doing and I wasn't. I traveled to North Korea while he was currently arrested. No one had heard from him, but at the time, no one knew that he was secretly brain dead, being basically kept alive on feeding tubes before the North Korean regime returned him to America. Weird things started happening to me almost immediately after landing in Pyongyang. It seems like a relatively normal airport, Pyongyang Airport, just like any other international airport, except most of the people there aren't really people, they're just soldiers. We were the only flight arriving, and we were the only foreigners there. You may have heard North Korea has a major power problem. They don't have enough electricity. If you just look at them from a satellite image, you can see they're basically a dark spot on the world. I had purchased two $50 bottles of alcohol in China, which I brought to Pyongyang with the intention of gifting to the tour guides, which is kind of customary. We collected our baggage and waited for the rest of the tour group to collect it before passing through immigration. The last thing I remember about that bag of alcohol was sitting next to my luggage in front of the conveyor belt, when all of a sudden everything just went pitch black. We've been warned that blackouts were a really common occurrence in North Korea, but this one even took our Chinese guides who were experts off guard because they had never witnessed a blackout in the international airport, which is supposed to have special reserves of electricity. The airport blacking out here is really unusual. There was no emergency lighting whatsoever. The only light in the airport was coming from people's phones and their flashlights. After 5 minutes, the lights come back on and everyone continues to be normal as if nothing happened, except I noticed that my bag of alcohol was missing. I searched around the baggage area looking for the alcohol. There's nothing. I asked a bunch of the tourists. No one has seen it. No one's touched it. So the Chinese guides advised me to go to this lost and found office, which is pretty empty. There's just like one person there who probably never gets anyone. And I go into the office and I tell them my alcohol is missing. I don't tell them it's stolen, but it's pretty obvious at this point that it's been stolen. There's gone. Half an hour later, the lost and found office calls me back, and they managed to locate the bag amazingly, right? Except the bag is completely empty, and the alcohol has been taken out, and it's just now an empty bag. The bag's obviously been looted, and they just hand me the bag and smile as if nothing had happened. I asked what happened to the alcohol inside and whether it's been stolen. They just shrugged, saying no one's ever had anything stolen from the airport before, so I guess that would mean I'm a first, or maybe they're saying mine wasn't stolen, it was just misplaced. But either way, they were trying not to make a big deal out of it, and they weren't being very helpful, so being in North Korea, all I could really do was say, well, thank you for the bag, smile, nod, and leave. We both acted like nothing had happened, and we went our separate ways. The only thing I could be happy was that it wasn't my suitcase. So it's pretty obvious that when the lights blacked out, the soldier, who was the only person who could have taken it, picked up the bag and just walked away. It's really kind of a perfect crime because there was no lighting, and obviously CCTV wasn't working because there was no electricity, and no one could have seen anything, and the soldiers can really do whatever they want. Passing through immigration is where I was really getting scared because immigration in North Korea is the make it or break it point. There's no in between. This is where people get arrested, either when entering or leaving the country. You might think for the whole trip that everything is fine until you're the last person in line at the airport and they say you can't go through and they just escort you away to a room and nobody really notices you're missing until everybody's already on the flight. The baggage search is definitely the worst part because this is where they found Otto Warmbier's poster, and as soon as they did that, they just escorted him away and he was never seen again. I was scared simply because the amount of camera and microphone equipment I had in my bag would kind of give away the fact that I wasn't just an amateur photographer or anything, that I might have been a professional videographer or journalist. They pulled out of my bag a Canon 70D, a GoPro, a head strap, a laptop, a shotgun microphone, a camera tripod, a Blue Yeti microphone and batteries, and 500 gigabytes worth of SD cards. I had a lot of gear with me, which was really quite stupid because it wasn't subtle at all. The soldier searching me definitely knew that what I was bringing was basically professional equipment. A lot of
You
it
don't
was
need to-
a 5-day trip only. During this whole search, my heart was basically pounding, adrenaline was going through my body, and I was just trying my best to appear calm, collected, and act like I wasn't.
Okay, so this video, I'm not gonna delete that video. I'm
just
recording that video. That video's not going bye.
And obviously, this was the question where if you answer yes to, you get escorted away, and if you say no, maybe you'll be okay. So I just told them no. It's just some Christmas presents that I'd recently gotten. I wanted to test them out while I was here. I told them I just wanted to capture as much of North Korea as possible because this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And apparently, I hadn't given away how scared I was because he just nodded and acted like it was nothing. Had I answered yes to his questions, I would have been arrested on the spot for being a journalist under a tourist visa in North Korea, and I don't think I would have been treated too kindly for that. At the time, me and the soldier were basically in two different mental states. I was in complete panic, and he was probably completely bored just searching tourists. I just found it amazing how, despite being in two different mental states, neither of us gave anything away. Taking video in North Korea was surprisingly difficult and extremely stressful, but not really for the reasons I expect. You see, most of the problems didn't come from the North Koreans, but from the actual other tourists.
The reason I love using StreamYard, well, that's easy.
Korea aren't exactly the youngest. I'd say most are within their middle age towards retirement age. Me being only 20, I was actually the second youngest person there out of the 300 or so who were staying in the Yanggakdo Hotel at the time. On top of this, me vlogging and doing a lot of video recording caused me to stand out quite substantially. And a lot of them actually ended up making me a bit of a meme. In fact, mocking me and not being very nice to me because I was standing out so much by recording a lot of the tour. Because I was doing something different, I stood out from everybody else. And because of this, I noticed people started excluding me. Whenever I'd sit down to drink, people wouldn't be very welcoming. Whenever I'd sit next to them on the bus or try to strike up a conversation, they wouldn't be very eager to engage with me. In fact, they would quickly try to end the conversation, and it was pretty clear they weren't very interested in talking to me. In fact, sometimes as I was walking through the hotel, other tourists would walk past me and they would mockingly shout out that, oh, you must be so popular, and that, oh, people are going to love your videos. Really, they were just being sarcastic and kind of not very nice. Of course, I hadn't told anyone at the time that I was a YouTuber because if I had done so, it would have put me under risk. So to them, I was just a nobody filming myself and kind of being a little bit unusual. In fact, I was urged several times during the tour by other tourists, just put the camera down, just listen, just stop wasting your time with this. You're just enjoying North Korea. Well, I got my answer, kind of. Yeah, sure.
Okay. Well, actually, I have a relative of mine who, I'll tell him. Actually, a relative of mine wanted to come, but they're getting old in their age. They want to see his footage.
In fact, I believe on the last day, I was talking to a French guy who was maybe age 30 to 35, and he had told me, your life must be very sad if you have all the time to go home and review this video. The level of hate I got just for recording video really struck me off guard because this wasn't what I expected in North Korea, especially not from tourists. I expected my own problems to be from the North Koreans. Being excluded, called names, sarcastic comments, even when I walked past groups of people, that was all the kind of stuff that I faced while being.
You know what?
In fact, this actually kind of reminds me a lot of high school, except the people are 50 and 60 years old, except making jokes at the expense of a 20-year-old. A lot of people would say the high school mentality ends after high school, but something really valuable I learned from this experience was that it can happen with anyone at any age, in any place. In fact, this was probably one of the most demotivating things during the whole time. Several times I was kind of about ready to give up, about ready to stop recording myself, but then I decided, okay, I need to power through this. Just ignore the comments and all the thoughts of everybody else, and not let what middle-aged people think.
I don't care what you say to me.
One of the worst parts of this whole experience was being mockingly called a YouTuber, while in fact I actually was, but couldn't tell anybody, because if I did, then I could be arrested. Every time a drunk middle-aged person came up to me and told me to stop doing what I'm doing. It frustrated me so much because I was angry at these people. I just wanted to say, look, I'm 20 years old and I've done more in my life than you've done in possibly your entire life. And I just couldn't do it. I just had to pretend like I was an amateur, like I had amounted to nothing and that I was just doing this for a hobby or for fun. In fact, I had to play along with the stereotype of being an amateur because the more amateurish and idiotic I looked, the less likely I would be to be held at the airport for potentially being a journalist. There's a really bitter feeling that comes with being mocked by others and having to pretend that their misguided judgments about yourself.
If you don't see me, then you know.
An issue I consider completely different from recording myself was the recording of other people, which also posed quite a problem. I avoided this, but honestly, no matter what I could do, a Westerner or something would often end up in the background of my video, which honestly, even I didn't want because it kind of ruins the experience of North Korea. What really irked me out about North Korea is the fact that the tourists there would get really mad at you if they somehow accidentally ended up in the background of your video. One instance of this was when I was in an elevator, just walking around with a GoPro on my head, seeing what activities the hotel had to offer. When in the elevator from a group of people, a lady stopped me and asked me if I was recording. Of course, I told her I was, and she told me to immediately stop recording.
I'll come in then, guys.
Are you going down?
Yeah, we're going down.
Are we recording?
That's not all.
No.
These are not. That would be good.
Normally, it isn't such a problem to ask someone to stop recording you and let that be that, but you have to remember this is North Korea, and the more you think about it, the more stupid it kind of becomes. First of all, you're in North Korea, you travel to the least free country in the world, and you have any expectation of privacy whatsoever. Secondly, there's a camera in the elevator recording video and audio at all times. Thirdly, the Yanggakdo Hotel actually has an entire floor dedicated to monitoring guests 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Fourthly, my GoPro videos were around 1 hour each, and no one really cares about a random tourist in the background of the video. Nobody cares about who you are or the fact you're in an elevator. The ironic part about asking me not to record you and to end my recording is that now you have differentiated yourself from the hundreds of other people in the video. You've now stepped into the limelight and you've made yourself stand out. It's funny because this video was honestly extremely uninteresting and would have just sat on my hard drive for probably a few years before it's deleted. And the fact that you asked me to stop recording you, you're now one of the only pieces of evidence I have of the complications I was facing from other tourists. By far the worst experience I had with tourists in North Korea was when I was just standing alone in a bar having a drink by myself. When a large group of tourists mobbed me and forced me to the corner of the bar and took out their cell phones and started recording me with their flashlights on. They forced me against the wall, and this was a demeaning high school mentality attack against me. The best thing I could do in this situation when mobbed by other people recording me was just act like it didn't bother me and that I was totally fine with it and I was totally in on the joke, right? I have no issue with people recording me ever.
Me neither.
The fact that you organized this attack on me in such a patronizing way and wanted to demean me by doing it just didn't sit right with me. That's some high school level crap. And I really don't think anyone would appreciate that, and that certainly wasn't what I was doing for other people. Before you go to North Korea, you have to go through China because the only planes from North Korea actually land in China. Before I went to North Korea and China, I had to sign this contract, and everyone has to sign this contract. Basically, it says you're not a journalist, you're not a religious proselytizer, and that any footage you release or photos afterwards have to be pre-approved before being released. Basically, the problem is the North Korean government doesn't want negative footage or negative pictures being released from the country, but they really have no power to stop people once they're outside North Korea. So the North Korean government found an interesting solution to this dilemma. You see, only certain tour companies are allowed to actually take tourists to North Korea. And if any journalists travel with these companies, then that company essentially gets a ban from taking tourists abroad. And that's happened before. So in order to stop leaks of negative photos or video, the travel companies essentially have you sign a piece of paper that says you can be sued if you release video that causes future harm to their company. So essentially, if you go to film or take photos in North Korea, the only stuff that can be released is positive information about North Korea. So North Korea solved this problem really cleverly by using travel companies to censor information in a completely legal way. There's actually plenty of examples of this happening. Just take, for instance, this video by National Geographic of a North Korean ski resort. It has 2 million views, and it actually makes North Korea look like an amazing place to travel to. They have drone shots, beautiful scenery, slow motion footage, sport. It actually makes North Korea look amazing.
That's a nice steep slope. You can get some speed on that. Basement where the excitement is. Yeah, that's it. Hold that. Close up.
I would not want to go. That's one reason I don't go to Korea for. My corporate. mean, if I can keep my videos on, I'll keep my videos up. I don't have to delete it, so I don't.
But because National Geographic is only allowed to release positive video of North Korea, this is essentially propaganda because it's one-sided. You only see the positive part and never the negative. If National Geographic was to travel there and end up releasing negative video or information about North Korea, the government would ban any of their journalists or members of their company from traveling to the country again and never being able to film again. Because of this, they wouldn't be able to make videos in the future. So really, if you think about it, National Geographic, just like any other company, has money as their number one interest and not really journalistic integrity. Another instance is fun for Louis, a YouTuber who traveled there and loved it. His vlogs from North Korea is a fun and amazing place to travel to.
There's not enough surfboards, so wait.
In fact, there was no criticisms or warning about North Korea in that entire video. Philip DeFranco actually criticized Fun for Louis pretty badly for having sugarcoated the country and not offered any critical perspective of what's going on there.
The problem that a lot of people are having, though, is if I just focus on North Korea on these very curated, very controlled tours where they show you what they want you to see, it effectively becomes North Korean propaganda, which is terrible because North Korea is one of the most repressive countries out there. They're purposefully presenting it in this positive light, which is actually bad. My personal opinion is I think that he didn't talk about the negative stuff because
You're gonna film me? I don't. You know what? I don't give a care.
where people have visited, they spoke out against the country, they then visited again, and then they get life in prison.
And so did other news articles because what Fun for Louis had released was actually propaganda because everything was positive and there was nothing at all negative about the country. Fun for Louis then went on to defend his vlog, saying he's not about political commentary and that he just wants to have upbeat and happy videos about everywhere he goes.
Hey guys, I'm making a video today to respond to the massive amount of criticism I've had over my North Korea vlogs. I'm not a investigative journalist. I don't really do political commentary.
He briefly touched on not wanting to jeopardize the non-profit organization who helped them get there, because doing so would possibly restrict their travel in the future.
So I want to explain how I ended up going on the trip now. My friend Lane posted on Facebook that he was going or wanted to go, so I contacted him and found out that he was going with an organisation that was running their third annual surf school. So the guy organising these trips has been visiting North Korea for 17 years, doing humanitarian relief work. He doesn't work for the government, but he has been building a relationship with the government and with the people there. And I don't want to jeopardise any of the work that he's done with the concept.
If I went to North Korea, I would go. If I did go to North Korea, I would go and be a Canadian jerk. I would have to pull strings or something. Wait, does that mean you can use NordVPN? In theory, yeah, you could use NordVPN, couldn't I? In theory, yeah. I would have the footage hidden somewhere, but I wouldn't be able to find it where in my bags. Where I don't have to find it. Yeah, but I wouldn't be able to find the footage. Nope. I have that exact generator. A 4-gallon tank. I have one. Or one of those. But I tell him, I work for a corporation that
What he
doesn't
failed to
exist
mention was that he signed a
for a-
contract, just like me, prohibiting any negative content about North Korea ever being released. But the one thing that irks me is the fact that he claims his video are not propaganda. Propaganda is presenting only one side of a story. And by basis, the contract he signed only allowed him to release one side of the story. So what he did release was indeed propaganda. Definitely makes what Fun for Louis did despicable because he was only really telling a half-truth the entire time. He never told us the full story. He never even warned people or told people that maybe you shouldn't travel to North Korea. If you look at the statistics, around 800 Americans travel to North Korea every year. And this year, 3 Americans have been detained and not released. So 800 divided by 3 is about 260. So there's a 1 in 260 chance of an American traveling to North Korea and being held in a prison camp, having their human rights taken away from them and possibly even killed, as in the case of Otto Warmbier. Louis, you need to understand that any video you make will have consequences down the line. Your videos, Louis, definitely did encourage people, not just me, to travel to North Korea, and you put them at unnecessary risk. By far the most dangerous thing I did in North Korea was sneak out of the designated area on New Year's Eve. You see, we've been taken to an ice sculpture exhibit just outside Kim Il-sung Square, which is right across from this place. It's like a big library, and it looks like a big palace. All right, so Kim Il Sung Square is this place where you ever see pictures of North Korean military parades? Well, that's where they're held. So it's kind of a sacred place to the North Koreans. Because it was New Year's Eve, the whole plaza in the ice sculpture area was especially popular. So soldiers were actually blocking the crowds and doing crowd control, only allowing people in and out when there was enough space for people to move. So their soldiers absolutely littered everywhere, and I start recording with my GoPro. To my surprise, the North Korean guides for once had told us we were allowed to roam around on our own, but we were not allowed to leave the smaller ice sculpture plaza. This was basically the only amount of freedom we've been given since we've been in North Korea, and honestly felt really amazing just to do my own thing for once. And even this freedom had been granted out of necessity rather than goodwill, because it was so crowded the North Korean guides couldn't even keep tabs on us anymore, so that was really their only choice. Okay, the ice sculptures are great, but I see the Grand Palace off to one side, lit up beautifully at night, and I want to go there. Only issue is there's soldiers littered absolutely everywhere, and it's illegal for a Westerner to walk around on their own without a guide with them. Of course, I don't look Korean, but I'm wearing a hat and a scarf, and I can conceal my face pretty well. I think just enough to the fact that I would look indistinguishable from everybody else. Everybody, even the Koreans, are basically trapped in this plaza because the soldiers are blocking exit because it's too crowded. So I come up with a plan. The plan is, because it's dark and I have clothing covering most of my face, if I just walk into the middle of one of the Korean crowds waiting to cross the street, then I can probably walk out on my own without being recognized. So just in case, I talk to the GoPro and I say, all right, guys, I'm really not sure if I'm allowed to do this, but I'm pretty sure I am, even though I know I'm really not.
I'm done watching this crazy guy. I'm never going to Korea. If I had a chance to go to Korea, I'll go to Seoul, but I'm not going to North. Because one, I'm not going to get myself killed. What the heck is this? Fucking Totusa Vutu. Cyber Chase. Clutch. I don't know what Clutch is. That's a new show. Never seen it yet. That's all. Wow. 51 years already. Wow. I've been on there for 51 years. 51 years. Nature cat. Nature cat. Okay. 2. These suits on tonight at 8. Oh, the Grammys are on tonight. That's cool to know. The Grammys are on tonight. The Grammys are on. American Idol. The Simpsons. Something I'm not going to watch. Okay, The Voice. Simpsons. Grammys. Great Performance. Something else. Batwoman. American Ninja. Enough Lord stuff, news, Q&A, property on TCT, Red Wings, Blackberry, Jonesville, ACX, storage. Okay, on USA Tonight, Law and Order, TNT. On TNT, 6:15 to 8:45, Suicide Squad. There's our now. 8:45, Aquaman on TNT. On 80 at 8 p.m. will be Storage Wars. The Kids' Choice Awards on Nickelodeon. Bar Rescue on Paramount. Some Sandy Tacky Searching on CNN. Animal Planet, Lone Star Law on Animal Planet. Bob's Burgers and Cartoon Network. Tournament of Champions on Food Network. Golf, live from the live playoffs on Golf Channel, NBC. Naked Afraid on Discovery. Alvin and the Chipmunks, The Squeakquel, starting at 7:40 to 9:15 on Disney Channel. Ridiculous on MTV. On CNBC, Shark Tank. The Walking Dead on AMC. Highway Through Hell on the Weather Channel. How It Really Happened on HLN. Tyler Perry's Something, starting at 7 o'clock on BET. Asata, so I can't pronounce that, on Telemundo. And Practical Jokers on True TV. Dangerous the dating game on Lifetime starts today at 8 p.m. 90 Day Fiancé on TLC, Grown Ups on VH1, then Grown Ups 2. Grown Ups at 6:30 to 9 o'clock. At 9 o'clock, Grown Ups 2 on VH1. Not watching that show. Keeping the Kardashians at 10 o'clock. 10th Anniversary Kardashians on E. On MSNBC, The Man in Hiding Show. No clue. Step Brothers at 6 to 8:30. Step Brothers on the Comedy Central channel. Dodgeball, a true underground story on Comedy Central at 8:30. History Channel, Food That Built America. A Hunting on Travel Channel. Hometown on HGTV. London Has Fallen, starting at 7 o'clock on Sci-Fi. Liberty Life and Living on Fox News Channel. Sunday Mass on EWTN. C-SPAN's 2. Some crap I can't pronounce. NBC Sports, NFL Overtime. FX, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle on FX. TBS, Avengers at 7:30. Avengers Endgame at 7:30 on TBS. A Summer Romance on Hallmark Channel. Hunger Games Part 2 at 7:30 on Freeform. Fox Sport 2, Volleyball. QVC3, Sunday Afternoon Q. HSN2, Home Furnishings. Shop HQ, Mackenzie Child's Home. On ESPN, on ESPN News, on ESPN World X Games. Bloomberg, C-SPAN Spray Business, Fox Business Kennedy, Dr. K's CR on Net Geo Wild, Wicked Tuna, Science, Abandoned Mysteries, ID, Texas Metal, Mrs. and Mrs. Smith, and Home on BBC America, and that's all we got on here. Law and Order on E, and Beetlejuice on Vice TV, which I don't get any of those channels. Cold Blood, Oxygen, 2.5 Men on TV Land, and that's pretty much about it. Check some local TV channels real quick. Yukon Gold at 8 o'clock on. Yukon Gold at 8 o'clock on. Fewer channels real quick. Yukon Gold at 8 o'clock on Quest. Check for local listings. Curse Ship Killers, True Crime Network. Please check your local listings. Comet, Planet, Final Day of Planet of the Apes. On Comet, check your local listings. Who is the Boss on Antenna TV? Check your local listings. Balance TV, Greenfeather, The Royal Family. Check your local. Which weird. I have two Balance networks. Both of them, one's on the Fox affiliate and one's on the NBC affiliate. Bounce. Check your local listings. Laugh. That's 70 Show at 8 p.m. Check your local listings. Greenleaf on Bounce. Check your local listings. Who's the Boss? Antenna TV. Check your local listings. DAB. Bob Vila's Home Again. Check your local listing on channel DABL. Nature. Check your local listings. Oh yeah, these channels you don't get. The Tall Man Writing on Grit. Check your local listings. Okay, we don't get this channel, and we don't get any of that. Okay. Some of these channels we don't get. I mean, like I said, guys, these are local stuff, so I'm just finding local shift to tell you guys to watch. On Velocity, which is stuff I do watch. Street, oh, okay. I'm gonna make a phone call in a minute, guys. I'm gonna make a phone call real quick.
Hello, Tyler.
Guess what?
What?
Street Outlaws are on tonight.
Who?
Street Outlaws.
Three Outlaws.
Yeah. And at 9 o'clock on channel 205.
Oh,
Yeah, I told you it's a car channel. Yeah, Motor Trend at 9 p.m. Street Outlaws are on. Yeah, on channel 205. I just looked right now and you'll see it. So yeah. Yeah, so I thought I should tell you that it's on tonight at 9.
Yeah, 9 o'clock when Equalizer comes on, I think.
I don't know. Let me check here. Equalizer?
Yeah.
Let me check real
8
quick.
o'clock.
Let me check it here. Nope.
It's either 8 or 9.
No, the Grammys are on tonight. The Grammys are on tonight, so the Equalizers wouldn't be on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not on tonight. The Grammys are on.
Oh.
So yeah, 205 at 9 o'clock, Street Outlaws will be on. I don't know if they're new one or old. Oh, they're older ones, but they're recent though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and 10 o'clock will be the one that says Mega Crash Days. At 10 o'clock. So Street Outlaws start at 9 o'clock tonight on Motor Trend 205, sorry. The company that owns the channel is changed to Motor Trend. It used to be Velocity, so it's a habit. But yeah, at 9 o'clock it comes on, channel 205. Motor Trend, which is a car channel, so yeah, it'll be on if you want to see it. So I thought I should tell you.
Okay, talk to you later.
Bye. I should have never did that. Well, he likes that show, so I should just told him. He's up there in age. He's in his 70s. So, done watching. See you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye. Good day, I gotta do some stuff.